Buenas noches, ¿cómo están ustedes? Welcome to Clark University. My name is Ramon Borges Mendez. I am Puerto Rican. I am an associate professor in the Community Development and Planning program here at Clark University. I'm also its coordinator. I'm a resident of Worcester 2 weeks ago.
District 4? Well, just saying.
And I like to welcome all of you to this small ceremony to honor people who have given their time, their support, their dedication to our Puerto Rican community here in Worcester. And we are doing this in conjunction together with the Centro, the Center for Puerto Rican Studies at the City University of New York, Honor College, who has been historically one of our most important, if not the most important, repository of our history, not only here in the United States, but in other parts of the world, as far as Hawaii and Puerto Rico. So I'd like to just also introduce briefly, maybe she can just stand up, Maria Costa Cruz, former, also Puerto Rican, former chair of the Foreign Languages and Literature Department. Juan Pablo Rivera, professor also in the Spanish Department of Foreign Language and Literature. So what I'd like to do is briefly, without any more introductions, present to you Ivette Meléndez, who is a professor of urban and regional planning and director of Centro at the City University of New York, whom I have known from a long time. Edwin is one of my mentors, was my PhD advisor, and we continue to work together in many other kinds of projects, so we continue to be partners in crime. Edwin.
Buenas noches. Before I say anything, I'd like to thank all the organizers. This is a beautiful evening, and I appreciate that you're all here sharing a piece of our history tonight. I have to say that los boricuas están quedando con Clark. I mean, por favor. I remember coming through Worcester way back. I lived in Boston for a long time. I studied at UMass Summer, so once I got lost at Worcester. And so a long time ago, and I remember Main Street didn't look the way it looked. So I think we made quite a bit of progress over the last few decades, I will say. Thanks to Clark, but also thanks to all the wonderful people that we have in the room, and that's precisely what we're here for tonight. This is exactly what we need to do. In part, is honoring those pioneers that open roads for those who come behind them, their children, their family, their neighbors, their friends, and so forth. But also, more importantly, to leave a legacy behind, make a difference in the town of Worcester, and part of the problem that we have is that our history is being lost. In other words, the Centro de Estudios Puertorriqueños was created in 1973. This is our 40th anniversary, and we're in the midst of a campaign to make Centro really national, to be representative of the diaspora, Puerto Rican diaspora as a whole. As you know, we were for many years concentrated in New York. We had some enclaves in Boston and Chicago and so on and so forth. But today, that situation has changed dramatically. For example, there are about a 1 point and change, 2 or 3 million in the state of New York altogether, including the city of New York, Puerto Ricans. There are 800,000 in Florida, and most of them concentrated in Central Florida, in Orlando area. About a decade ago, there were less than 400. So there is it's something happening, and we need to understand it, and so on. But part of that understanding is to preserve our history, to get people to tell their stories, to collect their documents, both individuals and organizations, and place them in a place where new generations, scholars from all ethnic groups and all backgrounds, all disciplines can come and appreciate what others have done before them. to build the community that we have. There's a lot of work to be done, to be sure. I'm sure that with the new cadres here at Clark, there's plenty of energy to partner with the university and partner with community organizations and partner with elected officials and try to do better for our people. Having said that, that reality has changed tremendously. And the mission of Centro is really to understand what is going on, both in socioeconomic terms and conduct studies, but also in terms of historical preservation. We have the largest depository, as Ramon was mentioning, of archival material. We have over 250 collections. This 100 Puerto Ricans campaign is about adding 100 collections to our archives. And I'm happy to say we have until October 20th to reach that 100 goal. And as of today, when I left the office, we were a little bit over 70. So we're inching there. And tonight I'm going to collect another 5 or 10 or whatever we walk away with tonight, commitments to donate and to our archives. But I have to say that those people who we're honoring tonight and have made a commitment to share their experiences with us, both through documents and photos and other memorabilia that they would like to donate to our archives. We also want to take their, tape their oral histories, make them available, right? Build a site in our pages in our website where the story of Puerto Ricans in Worcester is told, where there will be an evident legacy to those who come behind, and it will help us understand where we are today and what where are we heading in the future, and we want to do that collectively. One of my colleagues, Roseni, and I just came from Chicago. Those people have a little republic down there. They have a strip with schools and businesses, and they have a museum. I will say I'm jealous because in New York we don't have a Puerto Rican museum. We used to have Museo del Barrio y lo perdimos en cierta forma. Doesn't focus on Puerto Ricans alone anymore. But in any case, we're making progress everywhere. There is a footprint of the Puerto Rican community. But after we collect those oral histories and those documents comes the hard work, okay? Processing those papers to make them available to the public has certain rigor. Our archivists are specialized in doing that. But after all that work, what do we do with that knowledge? What do we do with that memory of the history of the Puerto Rican community? What we do is we start producing educational materials. We start producing things that will be easy and accessible for new generations, for teachers to use it in the classroom. Listen to this. There is not one single district in the United States, school district, that teaches Puerto Rican history. Isn't that dismal, pathetic? So what do? Well, we have to create our own district. Train teachers, provide them with educational materials, and so forth. So we brought tonight some examples of what we have behind. So now I'm gonna shift my role to salesperson here, and I'm gonna give you a little rundown over some of the things that where those oral histories and those documents are going to end up, okay? Educational products, okay? For example, what you see behind is a history of the Puerto Rican community in the United States. It's, those things that you see there are available as an interlibrary loan for any teacher who wants to use them, but we also printed 500 of them. And we're selling them at under cost, about $100 for a set of 8 of those. And we're asking people who donate to schools and to teachers so that they can be used to educate people, our second generations, about their history, right? So that's one product. We also have, for example, traveling exhibits. We have an exhibit on Muñoz in New York. We have an exhibit on Pura del Pre. There are a couple of books about Pura del Pre there. Pura del Pre is one of the collections that we have. We have some very notable, important Puerto Ricans, but they're not well known. So we have produced videos. We have produced books. We just came out with the memoir for Gilberto Herrera Valentin, a guy who got to New York in the mid-30s. He's 96 and still alive, 97. Still alive, wrote his memoirs, and you have to read those stories. how he struggled. He was a community organizer, he was a labor organizer, he was an elected city councilman, one of the founders of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, presided the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and the story goes on and on and on. But how many of you heard of Gilberto Herrera Valentin before tonight? So, Centro is about honoring that legacy. There is a little bit of information about the campaign, the 100 Puerto Ricans. And we also have, you can get some of the flyers and whatever. So as part of our 40th anniversary celebration, we have two core events. You're about 3 hours from New York. If you have the chance to come, stay overnight, visit our library, have a little fun. But we have two things upcoming. The first one is we're big on the arts now and culture. We're trying to make that a focus of the work that we do. So we have two concurrent exhibits in the main gallery, at the East Harlem Gallery, which is at Hunter, the School of Social Work, and where our library and archives are. We have an exhibit. These 5 notable Puerto Rican artists donated their work, and we're selling the portfolio to support the art program. But around these artists, we put together an exhibit. So they have some of the recent work. It's a beautiful exhibit. And outside, we have a long wall, I'm talking probably about 200 feet, I think, or something like that, long wall. We mounted something that's called posters on the wall, which are about 130. We have over about 2,000 work on paper that are part of donations that people make to our archives. And we took a sample of that and put it on the walls in a beautiful array. And they tell the story about bilingual education. They tell the story about cultural events. They tell a story about how this so-called Rican identity emerged, which is the fusion between our heritage as Puerto Ricans from Puerto Rico and the adaptation of that identity to the United States, and specifically to New York, because New York was kind of the concentration. El Barrio has a historical place and so forth. And then a little later on, we have a save the date for those of you who might attend. So this is going to happen September 20 in 2 or 3 weeks. The exhibit is worth going. If you cannot make it to the opening and have some wine and cheese with us, you're more than welcome to, we're open Tuesday through Saturday in the afternoon from 1 to 6. And in the barrio, people walk by and they come in, and it's a great experience. And then on the 40th, we have a big party, a big block party. We expect about 400 people, a few more if you're interested. And in any case, the public event is at 7. We have a little bit of a reception prior to those of you who would like to support the whole thing. But in any case, the open event is at 7 p.m. We're going to have some music. We're going to have politicians giving speeches and so forth. But more importantly, you're going to be able to exchange with the 100 Puerto Ricans from all over the country. We have people coming from Miami and Chicago, hopefully from Worcester. Some folks will show. And in any case, it's going to be a memorable occasion. We will be there to show you the archives. Take this like una bóveda. It's like literally, we have another depository, which is in Iron Mountain, where the banks put their checks and stuff. And about half the collection is there. But the one we have, the ones that we use more often, people come and seek and borrow the collection, we have downstairs. And es una bóveda como este tamaño, with a bunch of boxes, de esas cosas que uno usa en la biblioteca, que las corre, Anyway, it's a beautiful, anyway, you'll be proud of what we've done for over 40 years. So come celebrate with us. I don't want to extend my speech anymore. I really thank all the organizers, Ramon and Maritza Cruz, and everybody who was involved with making this event happen. You're joining by now, many locales around the country. And what we hope is that those archives are going to be truly representative of the diaspora everywhere we are. So that's the mission. The hard work starts now, because this is just their commitment to start working with us. Now we have to collect their papers, do the oral histories, and then think about how do we disseminate that information. But go look at how beautiful those tools that we're creating for teachers and for students and for parents to teach their children about our history, look how beautiful they come out. Look at the books. Look the kind of foundation that we need to create our own school district. So with that thought, I want to thank Rosani and Melissa behind the camera. Rosani Plus is our Affinity Events Coordinator. She's going all over the country, and we still have to send her some other places. And she's going to take us now by the hand and continue the program. We have these little things, pins, like the one I have here, that symbolize their commitment to join the Central Library and Archives. So I'm going to leave you with Rosani. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here. This is a lovely audience. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to start the recognition ceremony where we're going to, as Edwin said, we're going to pin you all with a 100 Puerto Ricans pin, and we also have some certificates. So I'm going to start with Maritza Cruz. And thank you very much, Maritza, because she's also been instrumental in putting this together as well. And we would like you to come up for your certificate and your pinning.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Gracias a ti. Thank you.
Go figure, you got a coach.
Yes. And Maritza has been a community organizer for many years, and she's been very instrumental in the Worcester community. So we are happy to have you as one of our 100. Yeah, at the end we'll have a photo op with everyone.
I forgot about this.
The next person is Concepción Cruz, who has also been a community leader here in Worcester for some time.
My mother.
Barbarte. I'm sure there are a lot of histories here, stories.
We have Roberto Díaz, who actually was not able to make it here today. He is with the Worcester Youth Center, and Ramon is, would you want to accept on his behalf?
Yeah. No pity for you.
No
No
pay.
pin for me. That's fine.
Thank you. Okay, the next person is Carmen Meléndez.
A lo mejor es prima mía.
And then you right here. And then you just go on this side.
This side,
I know, I hate to ruin your dress. No, it's okay. Okay. It's a good cause. Yes.
Our high definition camera will make still shots of this, don't worry, we got it, we got it covered. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Ivette Olmeda with the Center for Women Enterprise.
Oh.
Here, you can come this way. We like to pin on this side.
Okay, behind the,
Yes, behind our Centro side. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
they will come back for a group shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next honoree is Sarai Rivera, our city councilwoman. You get to bring your scarf. Sweater.
Thank you.
And our last person to honor today, last but not least, is Carmen Rosado.
an honor for me to receive this pin, no doubt about it.
Oh, thank you.
So now what I like is to call you all to the front and before Ramon speaks, right?
Yes.
Come to the front, we're gonna
and
take
we'll have a-
group shot and,
With the certificate.
sí,
Yes.
with the certificate.
With the certificate.
So now is when you
Como
can
los
take photos.
puertorriqueños que se lo están todos haciendo.
This is a photo occasion, okay, no so with camera, come on. Let's do this.
There's so many cameras. I know, I'm like, where do I look?
This is my, uno más, uno más. Uno más, uno más. You're supposed to be in the photos.
Wait, one more. One more with her standing. Here, we'll put this here.
Todavía más. Ah, bueno. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and you're closing. All right, sorry, excuse me.
So, needless to say that the role of Puerto Rican women in this case is going to be very important. As you notice, in the roster, 95% of the people who were honored, and to a large extent in our history, the ones who've been responsible for running with the affairs of our communities in that dual role, both as mothers, as teachers, as social workers, as business women, have been Puerto Rican mothers, Puerto Rican women. And Worcester is no exception in this case. In putting together this list, there are a couple of things that I thought would be important. Number one is to create a linkage between generations, right? No offense, but to have the old meet the middle age and the middle age learn about the youngers, and then that you bring your children here to learn about all of the above. That chain, if you break that chain, you break the power of culture, right? And that's why Centro is, putting all these things together. Where we started, where we've gone, where we're going is going to be a critical aspect. Even though we started all in Main South and you started in Main South, we moved around, but you know where you are. Because it's that bonding of history that allows you to understand what is it that keeps you together, even though you are not spatially together. So I really thank you for coming. I'd like to just pass the word to Sarai Rivera, who is, on behalf of the local government of Worcester, also honored the honorees by Centro with a little something.
Yes. I'd like to Caleb come forward and help me give these out. Caleb is the chair of Youth for District 4, my Youth Advisory Council. I'm going to have him come up, and City Councilor Phil Palmieri, pass the keys to me, was here. Unfortunately, he had to leave because tonight, and many of the candidates, it's the AFL-CIO endorsement tonight for district councilors. So, and I greet you on behalf of the mayor, Mayor Joseph M. Petty, who couldn't be here today because today is also the night for school committee. So it just was a crazy night for the local officials, but I know. Let's all go to City Hall. Oh, I'd love to see his face if we did that. We'd so love that. Yes, let's go. But this is really, really exciting because I think it's so, I'm very proud to be Puerto Rican, and it's so great to be in this room with so many awesome people, not just from the Puerto Rican community, but from other communities. such as want to acknowledge Stacy Amaral, who was one of the few Latina teachers who was my teacher when I was younger, and she still looks fabulous. I'm like, what is that cream you use? But when we didn't have teachers that looked like us, that were like us, that spoke our language, it was so great to have someone like her in our academic life, that we can say, oh, look, someone to look up to. So just wanted to recognize her in the audience. And as he said, I think it's so important to see the people that came before us that did some things. And so I'm going to go a little out of order and start with Concepción Cruz, and I'd like to give her the key to the city first. Because, she's, when people were not talking about bilingual education or parent group, she was having that conversation. And she cared about parents organizing in schools and contributing to our children and dedicated to our Latino children when no one was really there was only a handful of people having that conversation. So it was good that she was in the midst of having that conversation. So we appreciate you. So nosotros apreciamos. So I'd like to start with her. And she's from my district. I just want to add that. I'm very proud. Carmen Rosado, who I was telling I'd like her to come up. On behalf of the mayor, I'd like to grant you this key to the city. Working in the school, and the parents and kids love her. I have a message on my phone to prove it. Carmen Meléndez, I'd like her to come up, and it's so exciting. I've had the pleasure of working with her. Carmen Meléndez has a way of motivating and believing in students even when they don't believe in themselves. And so thank you for inspiring them every day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, next one, right here. This is for Roberto Díaz, but I'll give it to you so you can stand. And Maritza Cruz, who was running elections when no one was daring to get out and run, and ran a really good and exciting election with bocinas and everything. Bien boricua. Bien boricua. So wanted her to come forth. And last but not least, on behalf of our city, I'd like to give one to Ivette Olmeda, who she makes us all proud. When you think of women in business, sometimes we don't even think of them going together, but it's so exciting. I've been in this past couple years, one of the things that I've had to learn in council is a lot about the business world. And I've always feel so excited when I go to one of those meetings, and there's very few that look like we look. And I look in the crowd, and there is Ivette, and she's holding her own. And she is one significant businesswoman really making a difference and inspiring other women and other people to be entrepreneurs and to have that and to believe in their dreams. So thank you so much. So thank you very much for this honor, for being able to do that. And again, I greet you on behalf of our city, the city of Worcester, our council and our mayor, and it's a privilege to be here today. I'll give you this.
Damas y caballeros, thank you very much for coming. As I said, I am the coordinator of the Community Development and Planning Program here at Clark. You will see me more often annoying the local politicians. I hope that we all can also get going a few projects and in order to improve life here in Main South and the city. So I welcome any of you who would like to connect with me, to talk to me, to speak to me about anything, any idea, any way you think we can work, not only just to improve the lot of the Puerto Rican community, but of all the other Latinos and the Vietnamese and the Africans and the Haitians and anybody who is a newcomer to the city of Worcester, which is now a city mostly populated by newcomers, and I think we ought to be very present even more so in the decision-making of the city. So I invite you to a small little reception. There's a little pisco labis. I'm sorry there is no alcapurrias, bacalao fritos, or anything along those lines, but there is something out there, and thank you for coming, and welcome to class.